Federico Fernandez may be, to everybody who knows him, currently the centre-back at Newcastle United. For those down in Wales, Swansea may wish to claim him as their own. Most importantly, today he's the guest of the big interview, and sorry Newcastle, sorry Swansea, I have to attribute some of Fede's greatness to what he did both at Estudiantes in his native Argentina, where he helped the club that he and his dad love to win the Copa Libertadores, effectively the Champions League. But most interestingly, his time at Napoli made him, in my voice, and I think unwillingly his, the second greatest Argentinian ever to play for Napoli. Who was the first? Or the second or the third, you might ask. We'll argue that out later. We shall learn about two giants of Argentinian football, a mouse and a wizard. Firstly, El Ratón, Roberto Ayala, and secondly, La Brujita, Juan Sebastian Veron. We talked about World Cup 2014, a tournament that Fede began in the Argentina starting 11. But unfortunately he ended via a quixotic choice by his coach, watching his national team lose the final right at the death from the bench against Germany. Goetze, do you remember? Newcastle fans, however, listen up for a breakdown of the emerging, and Fede is still sure developing, talent of Alan San Maximan. Federico Fernandez is an Argentinian in Britain surviving in a different language. In my opinion, particularly somebody who's been given to speaking in Spanish on radio or television over the last 18 years, Federico Fernandez does so brilliantly. But he's an Argentinian who moved to Swansea, living in Newcastle, learning accents, ideas, and idiomatic expressions. Bear with him because, believe me, like the L'Oreal girls, he's worth it. From the city of Barcelona to the beautiful city of Newcastle, and one of their most international, most exciting players, Federico Fernandez. Welcome to the big interview, Fede. Thanks for giving us your time.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Fede, we're going to begin with a true or false round. And I only need one word. True or false. Okay, here we go. Although you are a central defender with not so many professional goals as a senior career, in your soul, in your alma, you're a born goal scorer. Un goleador nato. True or false?
False.
Okay, so I've started off wrong. Okay. This one will be, I'm sure. Italy and Germany in their history have won 8 World Cups between them, total. But you've played both of their national teams a number of times. You've won every game against them and you've scored against Germany. True or false?
Absolutely false.
Whoa, we're going to have a conversation about that one later on. Okay, the third one is this one. This one is about emotions, Fede. On the 8th of July 2014, you were so sad that you nearly cried when Germany scored 7 times against Brazil to knock Brazil out of the World Cup in Brazil. So sad that you nearly cried. True or false?
True.
This is a difficult interview. These answers aren't going the way that I thought they would go. On June the 9th, 2012, as you rose above your Napoli teammate Bruno Uvini, and you deliberately directed your header in off the post so that your Napoli teammate Rafael couldn't reach it, and you helped Argentina beat Brazil 4-3 with your goal, plus a hat-trick from some little guy who lives in Barcelona. You shouted, "Toma, nos vemos en Napoli y estáis comprando las cervezas perdedores." Take that, we'll see each other in the Napoli training ground and you're buying the beers, losers. True or false?
Absolutely true.
Okay, the last two. Fede Fernandez is the second best Argentinian ever to play for Napoli. True or false?
Yeah, I agree, true.
True, me too. And the last one. Rafa Benitez is an easygoing, laid-back coach who always says to his players, look guys, you defend however you like today, I'll just do the press conferences. True or false?
False.
Completely false.
Yes.
We're out of the true-false round now. Some of the listeners who haven't followed your magnificent career with the Argentine national team, with the Estudiantes, with Napoli, with Getafe, with Swansea, with Newcastle, they know a little bit more about you. But Fede, let's go back to the beginning, because we've had a number of guests who've talked about Roberto Ayala. We had one, I don't know if you know this guy, John Hartson. He played for Arsenal, he played for Celtic, he played for Wales. He's a very strong, successful, some would say frightening centre forward. And when we asked him to talk about his most difficult opponent, he immediately said El Raton Ayala. You grew up with him, Ayala, as your idol. I want you to tell us why, please. I want you to describe him. So when Fede was a young boy, un pibito, why did your attention finally settle on this guy? How did he inspire you? And describe him as a footballer, please.
When I was young, I watched a lot of football, and he was probably in the best moment of his career, and with the Argentina national team. So he had a really good World Cup by 2006, I think. Obviously, I was already set in my position central back, so I really fully focused on his movement and his aggressivity. He's not really tall, but he had a really good timing, and that's why he scored so many goals. Playing for Argentina in a World Cup is a big thing. So I remember I was in the school with my friends. I watched the games, and I said, "Wow, one day I would like to play his level, no, of Raton Ayala." And later on, when I signed for Napoli, I had the opportunity to talk with him, because he was in Napoli as well. He advised me about the city and the club, and obviously we talking about football, and he said, look, you can improve this or that. So it was very helpful when I talked with him, and obviously take the opportunity to speak with a great player, and try to copy great things.
You shared an agent, I think, for a small time, and that put you two together. When you began to speak to him, describe exactly what kind of advice he was giving you. Because you must understand, there'll be lots of boys and girls watching this now, listening to this now, who'd be like, if I can learn from these two guys, from their conversation, they'll take what you say specifically and maybe apply it.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, we talk about first the city and the fans and the club of Napoli, but specific of the game, he saw that at that time I was committing a lot of foul in an area when I don't need to do it. For example, when the striker received the ball back to the goal, he said, look, he's not going anywhere. If you don't let turn, keep it. Don't make a foul, because sometimes it's what the striker wants. And we're very clear and specific. So after that, I start working and thinking about this action and improving in my game.
You share a nationality, you share a position, but physically you're both very different indeed. for people that don't remember Ayala, he isn't the height or the power really for a centre-half. In my opinion, everything was played with his brain and his judgment. So when he was telling you to, what we call in Britain, jockey the striker to hold him in a certain position, he knew he was talking to somebody who had bigger advantages than he did, right?
Yeah, of course. That's you described very, very well. We are different, but I mean, for me, the most important thing is the concept of the game, that we can take advantage of that. So even if you are slow or strong central back, or anyway, the concept of the game, of the position, of the if you can avoid some kind of mistake or position is great. And someone from outside told you, because maybe when you are in the game or inside, you don't see the full picture. We can say that. I just working in detail because for me as a defender, you need to be concentrating attention every single detail. And today you play against teams that they are, for example, really well in the set place and they're looking for fouls and this kind of thing. So if you are in a position when you are not necessary to make a foul, so stay in your feet and don't give nothing to the others.
Tell me about, because you talk about the concept of football. Before you came out of Argentina, you were coached for a long time by Alex Sabella, and we're going to talk about him a little bit. But you were also taught by Toto Berizzo. So Berizzo was also a really high-quality centre-half, very successful. Eventually he becomes coach of Celta Vigo, takes them nearly to the final of the Europa League. He recovered from his cancer battle, thank goodness, recently. Given that you had been a centre-half for a long time at Estudiantes, before you came to Napoli and Ayala gave you more advice, what was it you were doing? I'd ask, did you have this concept that if I see the ball, I must win it? A kind of mentalidad guerrero. Rather than waiting and thinking and not going into the trap, was every ball a ball that you had to win? Was that part of it?
Yeah, some part of it, yeah, of course. I mean, when you are young and obviously you want to try to impress or try every time to pass it between the line when sometimes it's not possible, but you try because you don't have much experience, Over the years, when you are coaching by, you say Isabella, Berizzo. I had Berizzo 6 months before I came to Europe. We spent with him 6 months after the normal training we have with all the group. He talked to me and he said, "Come on, come here, defend 1v1. You need this in Europe. You need to be strong." So this kind of thing. So he prepared myself to come here, And yeah, I can say today that I changed my game a little bit in terms of don't force the ball if you don't really need. That I say, don't make a foul in a position where could be dangerous to us. So obviously, little by little, year by year, you get more games in your back, experience, and you can recognize the time of the game and manage better.
I guess even in Argentina, they must have the expression, never meet your heroes. Never. With the idea that it's always going to be a disappointment. You're better to have the image in your heart and in your soul. So, football aside, a un lado, what was it like when you meet your hero? What was the process of getting advice and friendship from Ayala?
Yeah, well, that you say is strange, I meet top players during my career that you used to watch every week by TV, and then when you do shake your hands and say hi, it's like, oh, it's a normal guy, or it's special, or it's fun, or it's different with player you see on TV. Yeah, but obviously I was surprised. I was joke because it's been a long time that I waited for the opportunity to meet him, and he sent me the Zaragoza t-shirt signed by him, and I had it in my little museum. It was great. It was great for me, and can share this moment.
I need you to explain something to me about your culture, please. We've already mentioned El Raton Ayala. Some people will know that means he was called the Mouse. If I'm not wrong, I think you were called Pájaro and El Flaco. El Flaco means skinny guy. But Pájaro, what does that mean?
The bird.
The bird.
The bird, yeah. Because of in my town, my father it was called for all the town El Pájaro. So me and my brother and my sister, the pajaritos, no, the small birds. So I take this, and I carry with. But it's my close friends knows only this one, and then when I was in Estudiante, the skinny, because I am 190 and easy to say the skinny one.
But Fede, there's more. There's so many more. So, for example, if I'm not wrong, Berizzo was called Toto Berizzo, right?
Yeah.
What does Toto mean?
Toto. I think it's because Eduardo they call Toto in Argentina. So in Argentina it's very common. You have a name, but some people never call for your name in your life.
Exactly. You go your whole life and you only get called the nicknames. There's the Brujo and the Bruja and the Brujita. Because one thing you shared with another idol, Seba Veron, was that you two are part of a dynasty, because your dad was a hugely successful, famous player with Estudiantes, and Seba Veron's father was a huge footballer, magical, so therefore he became Bruja or Brujo?
Bruja.
Bruja. It means witch, but I guess for him it means the wizard, right? The wizard.
The wizard, yeah.
And Juan Sebastian Veron became the little wizard, Brujita.
Brujita, yes, exactly.
Okay, the two questions. Why so many apodos in your culture? Why so many nicknames? Why does everybody have a crazy one?
I don't know. I think people, try to find the funny way to call someone. So it could be that you say in this case Veron because of your father. So you keep.
It goes on. It gets passed down from generation to generation.
But I can tell you, any Argentinian people is called different from the name, or a short name, or nickname, or or you look like a dog, they call dog, I don't know, something like that. So it's funny. Someone are really funny.
Tigre Falcao, Pocho Lavezzi. Okay. So at least now we all know a little bit more about it. But hablando de brujas, talking about witches and little witches, again, like Ayala, Veron, who the people who don't look with a big vista at world football in the UK, maybe they only remember him playing well at Manchester United, but in a time when United wasn't so successful, and then the move to Chelsea wasn't so good. But this was an extraordinary footballer, and I remember Darren Fletcher, when he was at Manchester United, told me that he would sit in the dressing room before a game, and in the tiny dressing room with everybody moving around and getting changed, Paul Scholes and Juan Veron would be playing keepy-uppy between everybody, knocking the ball through legs in the dressing room, and Darren, who played 450 times for Manchester United, said to himself, looking at these guys, I'm never going to get another game for United in midfield ever again. Tell us more about Juan Sebastian Veron, the footballer, the guy because you ended up playing with him. In fact, he made one of your goals for Estudiantes. He gave the asistencia, and now he's the presidente. So tell us about this man.
Oh, Sebastián is a special guy. Very strong personality, ambition. He's a winner. As a player, he have a lot of quality. Long passes, unbelievable. He came into Europe and he was very successful. He back to the Estudiantes in a very good age. In 2006, he won 2 leagues and he won the Libertadores. And I was the process with him. It was when I was 18. So I had the experience to play alongside him. It was extraordinary, honestly. In terms of everything that we talking before, professionally, the first to arrive at the training ground, the last to leave, every single day training so well. Obviously, he had problem with his ankle and knee, but I can say he's doing everything to be in the field because he want to win it. And for me, as I say, he gave me a lot of advice. He tried to improve me. He said, you have a lot of potential to the future play in the national team or come to Europe and stay for a long time. He wasn't wrong. It's today that I spoke with him very often. I had my seat in Estudiante in the stadium, in the new stadium, a beautiful stadium of Estudiante de La Plata, because I helped. He called me and they say you want to help to buy some seats, and when the stadium was in building, and I say of course, no problem. So yeah, I mean, it was great as a footballer, but share 5 years within Estudiante was absolutely a pleasure.
When we first saw him in Europe, I remember noticing him strongly at Sampdoria. And at Sampdoria, he didn't look like the Argentinian players I'd seen before because of 2 things. Yes, we'd seen, so for example, you're joining on the big interview. We have only had 2 Argentinian interviews before. One is Pablo Zabaleta, who you know so well. But the other one was before your time. Your dad maybe knew Osvaldo Ardiles. So if you grew up and watched Argentinian football in the 70s like I did, it was a little bit slower. It was quite hard, quite tough, quite cynical. But gradually there were footballers of fantastic quality. Osvaldo Ardiles, Ricky Villa would be 2 that came to Britain. Alex Sabella came to Sheffield and Leeds. So we saw quality. But Seba Veron had genius quality. His passing, his 1v1 skill, his vision, all of those were special. But how he worked, how he ran at Sampdoria, he ran like a German player. It was close everything, win every ball. And the mix made him unbelievable for both Sampdoria and Lazio. Do you recognize the things that I saw in my head when I first watched him in Serie A? Do you understand what I mean about him looking unusual for an Argentinian footballer?
I totally agree. Probably this kind of player with his quality and vision, probably they don't run much, but he was the opposite. He was the first, and when you play with him, you say, wow, this guy play 10 years in Europe and come here and how fight and go to the floor and say, okay, we need to go with him. We need to be at the same level if we can. And 100% he improved the Estudiantes squad. That's why being successful with Simeone as a coach in 2006, and then the era of Alejandro Sabella. But he was, let's say, a winner, and every single day they push every guy in the squad to do relaxing, because he don't came to Estudiante to wait the time, no? Coming to winning and do everything to move the club forward. So it's absolutely. I think everyone enjoyed watching him on the field, and us we had the opportunity to see online his quality, and it was amazing.
Because maybe I can make a comparison with, they're slightly different ages, but Roman Riquelme and Juan Veron, Seba Veron, had similar kinds of qualities, or certainly they shared certain attributes. But Seba Veron lived every game, every season at 3 times the speed of Roman Riquelme, which doesn't stop Roman Riquelme being an unbelievable footballer for Boca Juniors, for Villarreal, for the national team. But that's the comparison that seemed unusual to me, because Seba Veron could have played the match rhythm, the match tempo, the same way as Roman Riquelme, and speeded things up with his brain and his pass. He could have stopped there, but instead, his legs and lungs always showed, I want everything. When you didn't see him play, I didn't see him play Di Stefano, you listen to people talking about Di Stefano, and he wanted to play in every position to get the ball and win the ball and pass the ball to himself. And that's what was part of his greatness. And Veron seems to come from that linea.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you mentioned Riquelme, no? What a great number 10. But of course, everyone is different, and Riquelme was very successful, probably ran much less than Veron, but anyway, he was very effective. So depending of what you need or what your team need at the moment, but you have, I think, a philosophy, and Veron always had this heart to push the passion and mix with his vision and his quality.
Let's Fede, let's advance to going to the Sao Paulo Stadium, to the south of Italy. You have some Italian ancestry. Where you grew up before you moved to Buenos Aires, you grew up in tranquilidad. Things were laid back, asados, you say, the silence of the poblacion, and you're going to maybe the craziest football city in the world. So explain to us first impressions.
It's really difficult to explain, to be honest, because you need to live there to see. But when you become a Napoli player, too, your history is totally different in your time in the city. When you put your first feet in the fan, is unbelievable, passionate. Like in the South America, you are a superstar. Basically, if you go out for a dinner, and I was at that time with Lavesi, Cavani, people outside the restaurant, 500 people there waiting for you, security. So they recognize so quickly. I always remember when I was in Swansea, 3 years after I left Napoli, I came back for international break to Napoli, and I wear a hat, sunglasses, and I working in the street with my wife. At that point, we passed a group of children around 8, 10, 12 years old, 10, 15 of them. And I was like that, someone looked at me and said, Fernandez. And they are very common. Come, everyone come, Fernandez here. So it was a panic in the street. It was fun. So I found with 50 people there taking photos. It was great. It was for 3 years like that, and we were in a really good shape with the team as well, playing Champions League. We won 2 Italian Cup, so it was a great time. I never experienced something that passionate and strong with the fans in my career.
We're lucky to have supporters in Bet365 who are our supporters and our sponsors. And they said to us that it caught their eye that I think the first goals you scored for Napoli were in the Champions League. And Napoli is there, you're 3-0 down. It's before Benitez, it's Walter Mazzarri. You're in Bavaria, and Ezekiel Lavezzi and Gökhan Inler set you up for 2 headers. The game is crazy. Tell us about the experience of being 3-0 down to Bayern Munich, 2 Fede Fernandez headers to make it 3-2, the drama of nearly equalising, and this must have made the fans even crazier about their new Argentinian central.
Yeah, well, it was a really good impact. It was my first Champions League game away from home with the powerful Bayern Munich. Yeah, we had a really bad start of the game, 3-0 down. I scored before half-time. Yeah, the assist of Pocho. And in second half, I think it was 20 minutes to go. The second one, and we literally believed in get something from the game, and the fans was there. It was loud, and all the Bayern Munich fans was so quiet. It was a couple of challenges as well. It was the last 20 minutes, unbelievable feeling. We had a couple of chances to get the free, but it's today that they text me, Doppietta Bayern Munich.
Yeah, doppietta means brace in English.
I never forgot to say to the fans because it was my first year at the club and my first game of Champions League, so it was absolutely great.
Maybe this is a boring question, but I want to know. I'm curious about it, Fede. You weren't old enough really to see Diego Maradona in his best form, but he's inescapable for an Argentinian because, never mind football, he's one of the great sporting icons of anywhere, any country, all time. For those people listening to our interview who've never been to Napoli, when you went there or in all your time there, how obvious is it still that this is Maradona's city? Is his traces gone or is it still really obvious?
No, it's really, really obvious. You see painting on the street, and when you are Argentina, it's Maradona. And I meet Bruce Colotti, the central back. He played with Maradona. He had a restaurant in Naples, so I was very often with him, and he absolutely loved Maradona. Everyone. Of course, they imagine that they won a couple of trophies with him, and when today you see the videos or the photos of him at the stadium and the city is absolutely crazy at that time. So I can imagine how was the day by day of Maradona with the city. That's because so much love in between them, and they will remember forever 100% because probably the great player they have in the club, and you know how important is this.
Was it too much pressure for an Argentinian to be there with that name always being thrown into the conversation? Can it have a negative aspect too?
No, in my opinion, no. You have so much pressure because the club is getting better and better every year, and today is competing for the first place with Juventus. So you have to win in games and make sure you arrive at the end of the season with a chance to compete and winning trophy. So that's what the fans demand a lot, but it no matter where you come from.
We talk about Napoli as potential trophy winners now, and we're talking about 2 Scudetti for Maradona. But they don't win many trophies, but you did. So the first Copa Italia, it's frustrating for you because you play an early game and then you go to the final and you win, but you have to wait in the banquillo. But the second one is dream, because sometimes a cup run in any country, you can play against a couple of little guys and then maybe one big tie. And that wasn't the case for you, because you beat Lazio, Then it's home away against Roma. Sensational opponents. And if I'm not wrong, my notes tell me that you win the second game 3-0 against Roma. And they have Strootman sent off. It's in Sao Paulo must have gone crazy that night because you qualified for the final. So do you remember the Roma semi-final, but also do you remember the noise, the emotion? Was it as easy as it looks? Callejon, Higuain and Jorginho scoring?
The cup, when you start the first couple of rounds with a small team, obviously the focus is on the Scudetto and maybe the Champions League, Europa League. And when you go through the rounds in the cup, everyone starts to believe, and they say, okay, we had a really good chance. But you say we play again top team from quarterfinal. To be honest, we play a really good football, and we fully deserved the Copa Italia against Fiorentina in the final, and it was great football for us when we create so many chances. We had top player in front. I remember every time we left by train to go to Rome, that is the way from the coach to the train. It was probably the fans pick up someone and put in the train. It was full of them. Every time we back at the airport, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning, always someone outside with the motorino, beep, 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 and 3 o'clock in the morning, imagine that. So we waiting for us. When we were the winners, amazing. Stay with the coach around the city with the fan. It was amazing.
What about the final? Because Insigne gives you 2-goal lead, 2 really good goals. Quite early, Vargas, who I think is Chile international, he makes it 2-1. And then it's, even though Inler gets sent off, and before the referee even shows the card, he's taking off the captain armband and walking off. So you're 2-1 up with, 10 minutes remaining and against 10 men. But looking at it now, it's super nervous. And there's one chance, I forget who misses it, and I think you're following the ball past the post going, oh, I can't believe it. Were those maybe the 10 most nervous moments of your life?
Well, things you start to thinking about, you are very close to do something special. The last 10 minutes probably, the catenaccio, Italian catenaccio, everyone back. Concede, obviously, fight for every single ball. We scored the first one very later on. I can't remember the minutes, but I remember Pepe Reina as well ran until the corner. It's over, and it's the moment when you realize that it will happen, no? But you need to suffer as well. Fiorentina was a really, really strong team, good players, but we know that we need to be 100% concentrate, and obviously they have a couple of chances as well.
3 quick questions on this subject before we move on to Argentina. 1, the Copa Italia. What is it actually like? Lots of cups are famous because of their shape. The Copa Italia, what does it look like? How heavy is it? What does it feel like in your hands?
I feel amazing. Any trophy feels amazing in your hands, to be honest. Even if it's a glass of cup, I don't know. It looks like a very average cup, nothing special, but with the Italian flag by the side, and over your head, it looks like you are in the moon.
Perfect. Then two teammates. First of all, I was lucky over the tournaments that they won in 2008, 2010, 2012. I was working with the Spain squad close, like a TV producer. So I used to stay behind and watch the penalty kick competitions between Iker Casillas and Pepe Reina. And Pepe is a guy who treated me really well over all those tournaments. And we've got a kind of similar character in terms of passion for life. Describe Pepe Reina like a teammate.
Probably the best teammate, funny guy in a dressing room that I share with. Always smiling, positive energy, available teammate. That if you need something. I met him last season. We will play against Villa again after a couple of years, and it was great to see him and his family. I repeat, every year see his face full of energy, try to do good thing for the squad, even if you lose a game, try to be positive and good atmosphere on the dressing room. He's top guy.
Then the obvious one that I guess you know is coming. I'm going to ask you about, did you already look at the Premier League calendar to see the first day that you're going to have to play against Edinson Cavani?
But he's not available, I heard, no? I heard that he's in quarantine, no?
Sorry, Fede, you heard that or you hoped that?
I heard that.
Okay, then theoretically, what kind of guy should the Premier League expect from Manchester United's new centre forward? And a little bit of advice for other centrales around the Premier League. How do you play against Edinson Cavani when he's on his best form? Because just like I described Seba Veron as a mixture of cultures, Cavani has got some of the brains and the smarts of Luis Suarez, but also he has the physique of Didier Drogba.
He's very complete striker. He's very fit. He really take care about his body. So don't surprise. He's I think 33, but don't surprise how many kilometers he can run again because he's fully fit. Both leg finish with left and right. No problem at all. He's good in the air. So expect a guy who express every single defender. Is the one that stay quiet and his movement on the box is quite clever and he know what he do. No, if I saw him, move to the second post to go to the first or the opposite. So try to don't give a defender a reference. So or try to be in the shoulder. But I mean, expect a really competitive guy that will push everyone.
Let's talk about things agridulce to finish, yeah? Because playing for your national team for you has been obviously fantastic. I guess you made your family, your town really, really proud. But let's start against, in the state of New York, against Brazil, because it's the World Clásico. And okay, it was a friendly match, but your goal I was joking before, but it is incredible that in the game that you play in the World Clásico and you win 4-3, you score, you do go over your Brazilian Napoli teammate, you do score past your Brazilian Napoli teammate in Rafael in goals. It's Kun Agüero's ball in. I want to ask you 3-4 specific questions. Sometimes when central defenders go up for a header, they go up and hope. I know some guys in the professional game who go up and they close their eyes. From the moment Kun Agüero is taking the corner kick, what's going through your head? How does it happen? If you can do it in super slow-mo, go back to the moment, what happens?
Never a friendly when you play for Argentina, especially again Brazil. It was the atmosphere on midlife in New Jersey, amazing. It was very crazy game, and and my goal when I saw Agüero going to take the corner and I saw Leo Messi inside the box, I say, okay, the ball will come, because many times in Argentina team they try to play short the corner, so probably the ball no arrive properly. When I saw that situation, okay, I said, be more attention because the ball will come. I try to make 2 meters running to the first post, shows Ubini follow me, and then a little bit back when the ball came. I shove, I put the elbow in the shoulder of Ubini a little bit, and I had a really good contact that was straight to the post and go in. We get the free, and then Leo Messi had the amazing final goal with the 4-3. It's getting better, and over the years they still remember this Clásico.
It's hard to ask this because I lived in Barcelona for 18 years now, so I've had the good fortune to see most of Messi's games live. I've interviewed him, 25, 26 times. Sometimes short, sometimes long. And over the years, I've seen him changing from a little bit timido, now much more happy to speak, more of a captain. He's changed with the captaincy. And I'm not looking for new adjectives, but I know it's difficult for fellow professionals to describe him. But you've played with him. You've travelled with him. From your perspective, what has it been like being around one of the all-time geniuses of sport, not just football, of sport? What's that experience been like for you?
Obviously, the first time, that same situation that happened with Ayala, select for a national team, and plus Messi is in the squad as well. It's magnificent. You see him, the first day you see him, you say, wow. But at the same time, it's, you will understand because you meet him and he's quiet and he's look like a very normal people. That outside the football, he absolutely loved family, stayed with them, and for us as well, he's from Rosario, so when we training in Buenos Aires, he was all the time in the training ground. So we share our Argentina tea, colmate all the time, talking about football or other things. So we have a really strong team, and for me it was enjoy the experience. But he feel like he's one of. For me, it's like another Fede Fernandez. It's obviously that the mention that he had impact in football is the top of the game. So, but outside is just enjoying with him and his experience.
How tough is it, not only not to win the World Cup in Brazil, but to be stopped by a coach who's trusted you all his life, Sabeja? One, he puts Di Michelis in, and then you have no more influence in whether Argentina lifts the World Cup or doesn't. That to take that power away is tough. And then when you're a privileged spectator, because at any minute you can be called on. At any minute in the final, you can be called in and you can score a header from a corner to win the World Cup. This, I guess, is on your mind on the bench, but you're watching. In my opinion, sorry Maradona, apologies, but in my opinion, the greatest Argentinian player, the greatest footballer ever, in my opinion, not win a World Cup again. And just like when Barca are beaten at Anfield, the Messi game is really good inside the World Cup. And the Messi game at Anfield is astonishing when Barca lose 4-0. But the people with short attention spans, or sometimes stupid people, are going to forget that, and they're only going to look at the result. When you look back at those last 3 games in Brazil and the final, what are your, not just your emotions, but what's your analysis?
No, my analysis is always in the national team is about the whole period that I've been in, and that was 3 years. I played 32 games, so I start from the qualification when the Michelis was out of the team, and Sabella said me, you need to play against Colombia away with 40 degrees. They put that t-shirt, they don't ask you if you are ready or not. So, and after that, we we won every single game in the qualification. We finished first. We find a good team that play good football, and the relationship between the fans and the team, and at the end, you can feel it that it was connected. We are not a team that we score 3, 4, 5 goals. It was, qualification in the South America is really tough. You need to be in Bolivia with this. It's so difficult to play. Colombia, Venezuela. So we managed to get really good results. And the World Cup, my games, always we won the fourth game, but I always say we are a team of 23 and everybody deserves the chance. For some reason, Sabella at the moment decided to maybe get more experience with the Michelis. At the end of the day, obviously I'm disappointed, but I cannot be negative in the moment because we were in a quarter final of the World Cup, and that you say mentally you have to be ready for anything. We've been so close that a couple of minutes, even for the penalty, that will be probably the best definition of the game. And in between second place and first place, so close, and at the same time so far away. So that changed your life. There's about it's glory. It's not about money, about nothing else. If you won the World Cup, you will remember forever. So I have mixed feelings to be so close. In my personal opinion, obviously disappointed to be out in the important games, but like I said before, overall my time in the national team I enjoy, and I give a good game for them, and I help the team to qualify in a good way, and had a really good World Cup after a very long time for Argentina. We don't reach the final. It was 25 years at the time.
You said you were a good group. Can you remember then or subsequently, did anybody go to look for you? You're one of the guys that was a teammate of yours at Napoli as well, Pepito Higuain, who had a massive opportunity to score. Did anybody go looking for him at the end? Or when something that big goes wrong, do you just give everybody space? How did that get treated?
No. I mean, obviously after the game you don't have time to analyze. It was frustrated, and you say people have a real chance. Leo as well, the one the cross, Palacio, Pipa Higuain with Neuer. Someone say it could be a penalty, it could be no. A small detail that could be changing the history, but I think we were the better team in the final. But sometimes football, football sometimes decide who is the best, who scored the goals. That's the group for fantastic, because most of the guys, Higuain, Messi, Mascherano, Gago, they know each other for a long time. We as a young, maybe with Garay, other guys that we know también from Estudiantes or from Napoli, it was great, to be honest. Everyone pushed for Argentina and in the fair way.
The last two, we've got guys called socios, who are the people who are our longest supporters, individual guys. And this guy is James Atkinson. And James has asked a simple question. He's a huge Newcastle fan. And he says, Fede, what is it like to train with Alan Saint-Maximin? And how does he compare to some of the guys you've played with? If you want to say Mertens or Callejon or Pocho Lavezzi is a different player, or Pedro Leon, the three of those guys, I think James, because Lavezzi wasn't really a winger, but Mertens, Callejon and Pedro Leon had similar positions in the pitch maybe. So what's it like to train with Alan Saint-Maximin, and where does he rank with some of the other mercurial players you played with?
Well, Alan, for me, had a natural talent that is difficult to find in this day. He dribbling, his quality is amazing. I can see similar thing with Lavesi, when the ball they are look like in trouble, but always find a way to go out of people and going down the floor and get up quickly and this kind of thing, Well, in facing training is difficult. I say to the manager always put Alan in free touch, no all in, because he will pass every time. The guy is young, and if he improve the game and the decision he make, he will be in a few years in a top of the game.
Are you learning Geordie? Can you sing Bladen Races? Do you know what Hawaii means or the tune?
No. When I was in Swansea, they want to me speak Welsh, and here Geordie, no, too many. Enough with my English.
So the last section is this. Now your English is phenomenal, much better than my Spanish. The last section is this, Bielsa. What does it feel like for a top quality Argentinian football man to be in England in a time when maybe outside his home country, maybe Athletic Bilbao, there never seems to have been so many people who love and appreciate this guy who is a strange guy. Let's not pretend he's not a strange guy. But his football is beautiful. He seems to have found a home in Leeds. Everything being good, obviously, number one, everything being good, you're going to win Newcastle their first trophy since 1969, because it's weeks after this interview, you're going to play Brentford. But I'm telling you now, just like Toto Berizzo told you, you're going to have a long future in England and the national team, and Ayala told you, I'm telling you, you're going to win the League Cup. Newcastle's first trophy since 1969. But you play Leeds on 12th of December, I think. What is it like watching the Bielsa phenomenon at Leeds for an Argentinian footballer?
Now, most of the people can see, in the Premier League, where everything is massive, around the world, how Marcelo Bielsa or his team approach the game and the philosophy, You can lose the game or win the game, but the philosophy there. For me, football is about moment, and when he signed for Leeds, where I think it was 16 years ago in the Premier League, had a really good 2 seasons in the Championship, where the league is absolutely difficult and competitive, and they managed to be in the playoff, the first one, and obviously the second one, promotion. It's not easy, so now you can see, but I'm pleasure to see his team, the way they play, for me, everyone or every way is has to be accepted. If you want, or if you like more possession of the game, if you like long balls, or you like, it's football, and you fight for beat another team. So one thing that I saw, the energy of his player and how they play, so it will be tough to face his team. Looking forward to hopefully meet Marcelo, and I really wish the best in this year.
Then, Federico, fantastic. Thank you for being a guest on the big interview. Thank you for sharing your ideas about football and your brilliant life. When you lift the League Cup above your head next year, think of this moment and think of the Copa Italia, and then I'll ask you which of the cups is nicer, okay?
Okay.
Federico, thank you so much.
A pleasure.